during last summer, I was trying to keep my mind busy because there was a lot going on. And one thing I said I started picking up on was Dungeons and Dragons, D&D, right? I don't even play as consistently anymore. I mean, like I used to play a game every other day on a Discord server my friend invited me to back in like January of 2024. Unfortunately, the server is very inactive now. As far as I'm concerned, I was told that I joined the server after some drama happened. Yes, people do beef with each other over tabletop games, but apparently there was back-to-back drama, okay? And the server never recovered. So in early August, I gathered up a few people who I liked from the server and I said, hey, how about we start our own Dungeons and Dragons campaign? Let's play once per week, right? Like we'll meet every Saturday or Sunday on Discord at like 6 a.m. because some of you guys live in Europe, right? So, time zone issue. And we'll play for a few hours. As I'm recording this, it's February and we're still playing every week or so since August. We've been gaming. So one of the players in our weekly game, I was just catching up with him personally in a conversation, right? We're just catching up on life the other day. And he told me an interesting story, which eventually led to a bigger conversation. He told me, Aku, I used to work in Los Angeles at a restaurant. And he said the restaurant that he worked for, it hired this Jewish guy. Now, why does that matter that he mentioned the guy was Jewish? Well, after a while, this guy was actually doing pretty good serving tables and talking to customers. But he had a tattoo of his grandfather's concentration camp ID on his wrist or something, on his forearm. I don't remember. So that was like one of his main go-to to like start a conversation, right? Like imagine the person serving you food is like, yo, look at my wrist, y'all. This is my concentration camp ID of my grandpa. And he would talk about it and he said it would remind him of his grandpa who escaped during, and the guy who I'm talking to right now who's telling the story, he said he always took it as him trying to make people feel sorry for him. He's like, bruh, why get a tattoo as a reminder of your grandpa surviving this whole ordeal and escaping? And when he said that, me personally, Aku, I don't really agree with that sentiment. I like tattoos. I made a whole video explaining my take on tattoos, right? I like tattoos that are symbolic and mean something to you. If this means something to him, his grandfather making it through a situation like that and surviving, it's not just a situation, but and he feels that it's maybe a blessing or something of that sort that he escaped. All power to you. It's your body, right? And if it's something symbolic to you, go get tattooed. It doesn't bother me, but apparently it bothers this guy. So anyway, this guy continues telling the story and he's like, one day, another coworker who also worked there at the restaurant noticed one of his tips goes missing. A customer left a tip and it just disappeared. So he asked the manager, what happened to my tip? And the manager checked the cameras. Behold, it was the Jewish employee spotted pocketing tips. Rather, he did it several times. He stole tips from a lot of coworkers. He's just stealing money. And when he was informed to return the money, he claimed he was innocent, even though he was caught in 4K. Lost his job. Now, this kind of falls, unfortunately, into the Jewish stereotype. You've seen the memes and stuff about Jews and money, right? I don't really want to break it down. Now, the way I told this story, by the way, okay, I told it in Aku fashion. I told it in a very family-friendly way. The way this guy was telling this story to me, he was referring to this guy, his ex-Jewish employee, as he was calling him Captain Jew and all sorts of names while he was telling the story. So I replied to him and I was like, shaking my head. You must really hate Jews, SMH, SMH. And he said, no, I don't hate them. I just feel like they don't help themselves look good at times. And they played their stereotype. Now, this conversation is getting wild, right? So I said, well, I feel like every group or even race has something that is very stereotypical. For example, I get frustrated as someone who is half black and I'm half black and half Asian, by the way, if you don't know. My mom is Japanese. My dad is blacker than anything I've ever seen before, right? So I came out with that Drake skin tone. I said to this guy, I said, I get frustrated when black people reinforce their negative stereotypes. Rather, these negative stereotypes that I feel harms the black community. It makes me not want to claim my black side at times. Whoa. That's a very bold statement. A very blunt one, right? That's a strong statement. Maybe not bold, maybe just strong. By saying this, people probably thinking right now, or may call me a self-hating black. Apparently that's a big problem in the community as well, right? But look, I'd like any complexion, race, religion, or anything to thrive. But sometimes these same communities end up limiting themselves. That sort of holds the community back. And he said, after I said that, right? He said he agrees. That's why he doesn't like living in the South. He lives in America, by the way. So when he said these southern states, and for anyone here who lives in America, you know what I'm talking about. These southern states here in America, there's a lot of bigotry, obesity, and uneducated white people. And this is exactly how foreigners tend to think of Americans. You know that America is filled with obese white people who wave their American flag everywhere and has something to say about other people all the time, right? Now, I'm not saying that's completely untrue. I mean, you know what I'm saying? The southern parts of the U.S., it is more dominant. And we do have an obesity problem in America in general. But the South does tend to have interesting communities that reinforce negative stereotypes of Americans. So here's the thing, and don't get it twisted. I'm not here to police blackness, whiteness, or anyone's identity. I'm not here to police it. I'm not trying to please anyone here as well. It's just that I know that certain communities are so much more than what negative images people expect from them. A lot of these communities are so much deeper and complex than what people box them into. However, if you really think about it, it all makes sense. Whether it be race, culture, or gender, we recognize patterns of those who already exist in these groups. And what do? We mimic them. Is there some truth behind it? Would you say all people who are wealthy are greedy? All poor people are lazy? All Asians are good at math? Hey, but you've seen people wear the shoe because it fit them, right? You've seen greedy wealthy people. You've seen lazy poor people. And you've also seen Asians who are really good at math. Look, it's not necessarily the problem that stereotypes. I mean, it's, you know what it is? The problem is the stereotypes that people have created that exist right now. Maybe it is a problem. These stereotypes, they create expectations. And even at times, distorts your own self-perception. I feel like a lot of people have lost their personality and true self because they got wrapped up in their own cultural, racial, or even religious stereotype. Maybe your stereotype related to your gender as well. I mean, are you truly yourself, or do you act very alike to how everyone else is in your community? And you act like that simply because you coexisted or grew up with them. So naturally you get inspired by your environment, right? The community you grew up in. The real question is, when you look at yourself in the mirror, is it really you or not? Or are you just internalizing characteristics that lean into stereotypes because it's easier to fit the mold? It's easier for you to fit in. Anyone watching this, if you grew up in a majority black community and you acted, quote, white, people think you're a weirdo. If you don't want to rap or grow dreads or play ball and you wanted maybe to educate yourself in a different way or appear in another way, you don't have to grow dreads all the time. You know what I'm saying? Or people think you're soft. People think you're soft or you're fruity or something. You zesty maybe. But most of the time, people just think you're corny or you're nerdy or you're soft, right? It's like if you try to challenge the mold and you don't try to act like how everyone else is acting, because that's what is expected from black people or white people or whatever, right? You get socially punished for it. which emphasizes my point about how people will completely lose their unique identity to fit with social standards within the related community. Now, again, I feel like people are going to take it this way, though. This isn't just a black thing or a white thing or a racial thing. It's a human thing. The issue with stereotypes is that it has become a very easy way for people to see other people. When we define entire communities, it limits what people are truly capable of, at least from a perspective. It becomes barriers that you set for yourself and others, right? So when I say, like what I say earlier, I said to this guy, I sometimes don't feel proud to claim my black side, right? I said, sometimes I don't want to claim my black side. Sure, it comes from a place of negativity because I'm ignoring all the positive history and attributes of being black. And I could say the same for my Japanese side. Hey, Japan also hasn't been the most ethical and morally upright. Hey, you've seen the history of Japan. You feel me? Like, you know what I'm saying? But there are some positives. There are some positives to everything. But when the negative stereotypes are constantly reinforced through media, through real life, or even people around you, it makes you question where you fit in. It makes you also question whether you want to truly embrace parts of yourself. Not because you don't love where you come from, but because you don't want to be boxed in with what the world expects of you. You know what really bothers me? I'm about to go off right now. It's like, listen, it's Black History Month and I'm about to say this stuff. Man, I can't stand when the world tells you how blackness should be. If you don't act a certain way or you don't fall under a certain ideology or something, apparently you ain't black. You know how many times I've seen black people talk about white people and their white people are this and that, the white devils and white people and this, that, right? You know what? All my closest friends, by the way, are white. I guess I ain't black. I guess I sold out. Why don't I have black friends besides maybe one? Like, that's Sunset Clips, right? We did like podcast episodes together, right? Yeah, you've seen those videos, right? But why don't I have many black friends, right? All my friends are white besides one person who is on the internet. You know what I'm saying? Because gotta keep it real. I don't hang with niggas, bro. I'm gonna be blunt. I love black people, but I can't trust niggas who act like niggas. Y'all fall into this stereotype. Talking about freestyling in the car, smoking weed, playing NBA 2K Park all day, being obsessed with drill rappers. Always talk about how you want to start a business but never do anything. Niggas be obsessed with money, but they only want to trap to earn it. It's like niggas are scared of job applications. Half of y'all want to slap box or fight out of nowhere. I don't want to fight you. And it's funny, I'm stereotyping, right? But when I hang around niggas, I get called an Uncle Tom. I'm told I'm acting white because I'm not into most of this stuff. I'm boring. I live under a rock, right? I'm a square. I'm not for my people, apparently. Because I'm not acting like black stereotypes all the time. Like, call me a self-hating black all you want. I don't want to claim that. You know why? Because that's not me. I have some black stereotypes, of course. You see how I talk in my videos too, right? I got some black linguistics, right? I make music. I got face tattoos, not gang related though. I do like NBA 2K, but I don't play part. I don't remember the last time I really played NBA 2K, but I'm not interested in identifying my whole image with everything else the culture is obsessed with. I don't distance myself from blackness. I distance myself from the mindset that keeps us stagnant. I'm not going to settle or box myself into behavioral patterns that everyone else has expectations for me to have that ends up limiting my growth. I'm not perfect, but I'm just not into this. If this has made me become selective about my company I keep, like having only white friends, then so be it. I'm sorry. I mean, how do y'all feel about this? Whether you're black or white or any community or religious or whatever, right? How do you feel about the negative stereotypes that people enforce upon you that end up creating such a terrible image for others on the outside? And sure, we can't control what everybody thinks, okay? But like, come on. You get where I'm coming from in this video at least. Let me know down below. This episode is found on Spotify and YouTube. Times Square.
Nightmare 7 a.m. in the morning though. No surprise. Times Square's you and I under those lights. No disguise. Don't tell me everything you wanted was a lie. All those city lights, it's an endless night. Never expected you to bring me so much life. Close my eyes too long, then it's time to say goodbye. Let's dance all night until the stars don't show glow. Till the sunrise, then we go solo. Making up for all the times that we were low. Let's make some memories before we do go. Let's dance all night until the stars don't show glow. Till the sunrise, then we go solo. Making up for all the times that we were low. Let's make some memories before we do go. Caution. Wait a moment, keep my heart locked, the way it's filled with emotion. Gave the key to you, right in front of you is open. Hey, try your best to not leave it broken. Oh, it's been a while since you know it's frozen. Not the